We had an early question. The early bird gets to ask the questions. So I just thought I'd start with answering this first question very quickly. This week, in fact, I have visited the three Career Life Education grade 10 classes and have shared this presentation with them. I'm going to be heading back in 2 weeks back to their classes. I always think it's a good idea to let the information settle a little bit. Plus, they had a lot going on this week with Personal Project, and got to see some of their amazing work yesterday. So for a number of reasons, good idea for me to circle back around. And I'm hoping to have two special guests when I circle back around to those classes: a current grade 12 student who's a diploma candidate, and an alumna who's now in second year university, to be able to give their perspective on their experience in grades 11 and 12 at our school. For grades 8 and 9, pardon me, in the past, what I've done is for grade 9s in the spring term, normally I open up some drop-in lunch hours where they can come in and ask questions about the diploma, and I'm happy to share information with them. And I will be honest that in the past, I haven't done any drop-ins or presentation for grade 8 students, something I certainly would be willing to consider if we really feel that the need is there. But often we like them to transition to grade 9, start to experience it before we launch into information about the diploma. But we are very flexible, and you'll hear more about that later. Okay, so to begin the presentation, our itinerary. We're not getting to travel at all right now, so I thought we needed an itinerary for this evening. And so here are the stops along our journey this evening. We're going to meet your IB Diploma Coordinator. You can tell I'm having a little fun with our itinerary. We're going to take a wee trip down memory lane, mostly my memory, but I'm happy to share my memories with you. Choose your own adventure. That's a special one. We'll look at, and I'm happy to address your burning questions, or if they're not burning, I will address other questions. And then we're going to wrap it up, okay? So, meeting your IB Diploma Coordinator, well, that would be me, Angie Girard, for those of you who don't know me, or Madame Girard, or when we get really close, I'll answer to Madame Gigi as well. I first joined our amazing GNS community, and I don't say this out loud very often, in 1992 as a full-time French teacher. So I followed my passion to university in Quebec, studied French, and came back, and guess where my first teaching job was? In 1992. A few years later, our daughter, Gabrielle, was born, and she joined the kindergarten class in 2006. And we were able to watch her, and we have been able to watch her grow and learn through the primary years program, the middle years program, and the diploma program. And then 6 years ago, I became the IB Diploma Coordinator at our school. And although I stepped away from full-time teaching, I have to say, and that was a big step for me, I have to say that I still get to work with students, all of you, for those students of you who are here, very closely in grades 11 and 12. And so I don't feel that I still do teach a French B class in year 2 of the program, but I really don't feel that I'm missing out on anything, because I still get to, as I say, work very closely with our students. So I feel that my experience as a teacher in the program, a parent especially, I've learned a lot about our program as a parent, and it's really helped me, I think, become a better IB Diploma Coordinator, and of course as the Diploma Coordinator. So I have all sorts of connections to this amazing program. Yeah, and I'm happy to share my experiences as a teacher, particularly as a parent, to any of you and all of you at another time if you're interested. Okay. So a wee trip down memory lane, and it's not a trip down my life story, although it might look like from childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. I'm actually referring to our diploma program at GNS. So I just thought it would be interesting for us to for me to share with you the journey that our IB Diploma Program has been on. So through its infancy and childhood, we first brought the IB Diploma Program to our school in 1996. So I was here when it first came to our school. And we were keen at that time to add an enrichment to our program. We already thought we had, dare I say, a pretty amazing program, but there seemed to be a desire and a niche that needed to be filled for maybe some more challenging and rigorous education amongst some of our families. And so we did a lot of research and came upon the IB Diploma Program that we really felt would best meet the needs of our students and families who were looking for that a challenge. It certainly started out very small, as babies do, with small numbers of students, and they had to apply to the program. So not everyone was accepted. They were all going to graduate from GNS no matter what, but some of them would graduate, apply, and be accepted into our IB Diploma Program, and others would continue on the provincial pathway. Okay, and slowly but surely, as children do, our program grew. Then we, of course, reached adolescence. And as is the case, I'm sure many of us, the parents here this evening, myself, we can attest to the fact that, adolescence is not without its challenges. It was smooth sailing at times, other times definitely bumpy along the journey. And then we move into adulthood. I don't know exactly at what age I would say the diploma program at GNS reached adulthood, but it has. We're now in our 25th year of offering the program, and I am pleased to share with you that it is a well-established program at GNS. However, we are not content to ever rest on our laurels. I would say we do a lot of wonderful things, and we do a lot of things really well within our diploma program, but we are always constantly looking to refine and polish it. And so that our students and families really can have the opportunity to be involved with the best diploma program that we can possibly offer for many, many years to come. And the refining, I just want to touch on that refinement and polishing. It comes in a number of different shapes and forms. And I think it's of interest probably to you parents and students that a lot of the refinement and polishing comes from feedback that we receive from current families going through the program. As I said, I learned a lot from the program, about our program as a parent. And that helped shape some of and I have to say, if you met my daughter Gabby, she doesn't mince words. She'll tell it like it is. And so based on a number of different factors, we continue to refine and polish the program. And I think, and I know, we're stronger for it. This is a very simple slide and probably the most important of the evening. Choose your own adventure. If you take nothing else from this evening, probably tired after a long day, it's a blustery one out there, probably just want to cuddle up with a nice blanket and a good book by the fireplace maybe. But thank you for being here, if I haven't already thanked you. If you take nothing else away from this evening, I want each of you to know that there is choice within our final 2 years, grades 11 and 12 at GNS, okay? There is more than one pathway, okay? So this evening, I'm going to focus on the pathway of being a diploma candidate. Sometimes we use the word full in front of the word diploma, so we're really sure what we're talking about, and so that you're sure what we're talking about. But I'm trying to move away from that, that word and just call it like IB calls it. You're either a diploma candidate or a course candidate. And under each of these, as simple as this slide is, there are options, okay? And we're going to go into those. One thing, I just wanted to bust one myth I feel like there's still a myth out there. I spoke with the grade 10s about it this week, and I told them the same thing. If you take nothing else away, know that there is choice. The myth is the following, that we force all students to be diploma candidates. And that is not true. Hand on heart, okay? I would say maybe even up to a few years ago, perhaps the messaging around the choice and choosing your own adventure was not as clear as it is today and has been in the last couple of years, okay? So we're trying really, really hard to make sure that the message is clear. So please spread the word. There is choice. We do not and will not force any of our students to be diploma candidates, okay? So let's delve in. We'll start with the diploma candidate pathway or adventure. As a diploma candidate, we, as you might expect, those of you who've been at the school for a while or been at other schools that offer IB programs, whether it be the primary years or the middle years or the diploma program, we work within a framework that the IB organization provides us, okay? So sometimes that can feel a little constricting, but I hope that after I've given you a few details, you'll understand that even within the framework, there is flexibility. Okay, so as a diploma candidate, students who choose this pathway, choose this adventure, will choose a subject, from each of the 6 groups, okay? So I'm gonna go through each of the groups and I'll let you know what the course offerings are under each of them. I'm not going to delve into the details. That information is coming in a wonderful document very soon called the Program of Studies. It will have a lovely description of all that I've talked about here, but also detailed information about each of our course offerings, okay? And I'm hoping you're going to join us on Monday evening for the course request information evening, which will be a nice segue from this meeting, okay? So under Group 1, this is the Studies in Language and Literature. At GNS, we offer language and literature. So it's a nice mix of studying the language and really delving into it, and a little sampling of literature, okay? Lots of our students, since we began offering this course a few years ago, many of our students embark upon language and literature. They love it. If you love literature and can't get enough, and oh, could I please have some more literature, then we also offer the other course in this subject group called literature. Okay, and by the way, I should mention, as I mentioned to the grade 10s, everything I'm talking about as far as the courses offered, these are also on offer for course candidates, okay? It's just that the framework is different, all right? So for diploma candidates and course candidates, all of what I'm about to say does apply. When I talk about having to have one from each subject group, and I'm going to talk in a few minutes about higher level and standard level, that's more diploma candidates, okay? Just so you know, we do also offer under Group 1 for students wishing to pursue a bilingual diploma. For our international students, or not always our international students, I should say, for students whose mother tongue is a language other than English, so they're very proficient. Obviously, it's their first language or mother tongue. Students may choose to take language and literature in English or the lit course in English, and so one of those. And they may also choose to take literature A self-taught in their mother tongue. So currently we have a student in year 1 taking Russian self-taught, and in year 2 we have students taking Chinese and Korean. In the past we've had students take Japanese, Vietnamese, French, Urdu, okay? And so the combination of those two with what I'm about to describe will allow students to end up with a bilingual diploma. That's a very small percentage of our population though. So moving on, most students taking the diploma will have one of the courses from Group 1. In Group 2 is language acquisition, and we continue to offer through the diploma. Mandarin becomes known as Chinese in the diploma program. So Chinese B, French B, Spanish B, okay? Continuation of what they're doing through the MYP already. But we also offer in this subject group within our diploma, it's a course called Spanish ab inicio. Now it's only offered at the standard level worldwide. And so it would be for students who are currently in French or Mandarin and who decide, I try not to get teary-eyed at this point. I use French as an example. Madame, I have taken French since kindergarten, and as much as I have loved it, they all say, I would like to switch it up in the diploma. And so they choose to take this course called Spanish ab inicio. And so it is a course that for students who have little to no experience in the language, and they take, it's not a beginner's course because they do get to quite a high level after the 2 years. If they're already taking Spanish in MYP, believe it or not, I say to the students, you have too much experience in the language. And so you may not take Spanish ab inicio. Okay, so it would be for, as I say, current students taking French or Mandarin in MYP. Okay. By the way, most of our subjects we do offer at both the higher and the standard level, but as I go through, as you've already heard, there are a few courses that are only offered, either a choice of ours at GNS or an IB regulation. They're only offered at standard level. Okay, so Spanish ab inicio is one, the literature self-taught I just mentioned is another. Under group 3, individuals and societies, this is where I tell the students, I get very excited with groups 3 and 4 because this is where students are able to specialize. Okay, so under individuals and societies, students may take economics, only offered at GNS at standard level, global politics, offered at both levels, or history, offered at both levels. So a diploma candidate, again, will choose one from group 1, one from group 2, currently one from group 3, and I'm going to circle back around because I know you're, what if I want to take? Okay, I'll get to that. And then group 4, sciences, again, we get to specialize. So we offer bio, chemistry, and physics, all at the SL and HL levels. Group 5, mathematics, we will be offering mathematics, analysis, and approaches. And if you're really hip and cool, you get to call it Maths A&A. At both the standard level and higher level. And then we come to group 6. So this is where it gets really exciting with even more choice. So as a diploma candidate, you may choose to take an IB art, and we offer currently theater or visual arts, okay? Over the last couple of years, we've also put in the program of studies the option of IB music. We used to offer IB music a number of years ago, and then and it was I'd say for 2 or 3 years it was doing well. It had solid enrollment, and then the numbers started to dwindle. And unfortunately, in the size of our school, it's very hard to run a 2-year course for only 2 or 3 students. But we, under the request, I guess, of Mr. Thompson, our head of arts, asked us a couple of years ago if we would consider, because he heard there were some interested students, if we would consider offering it. So we've tried the last couple of years to try and get it up and running again. This may be the year, grade 10s, I don't know, but you'll see it in the course, the course offerings in the program of studies document, okay? So you may choose to take one of those arts courses as part of your 6 subjects, or you may take a second subject in groups 3, so you could take 2 INS subjects and no arts, or 2 sciences and no arts, okay? Now, when we talk about higher level and standard level, some of you may have heard this lingo. IB is filled with lingo, as we know, and especially within the diploma program. So I'm going to try really hard tonight not to use too much of the lingo, or if I do, I'll use the full term and then educate you with a little bit of the lingo. Worldwide, most students will take a combination of 3 higher and 3 standard. That's one of the possibilities within the IB Diploma Program. The only other possibility, the only other combination possible, students can take up to 4 higher levels and 2 standard levels. But there are no other possibilities, okay, when you're a diploma candidate. So even if we had a student who was absolutely brilliant, who wanted to take all higher level subjects, the IB diploma regulations would not allow us to allow that student to do so. Okay? The difference between higher level and standard level subjects, the names of the two levels do speak to the difference, but let me just give you a few examples and a few details. So normally, it's very rare to find someone who is equally strong in all 6 subjects. Even as adults, you know, it's hard to be equally strong in all areas of our life. And so the IB recognizes this. And so as you can imagine, when you're building your diploma, you're going to think about, what am I most interested in? What am I passionate about? What am I good at? Okay, and so most likely, those will probably be your higher level subjects. On the flip side of that, a standard level course doesn't mean you're bad at a particular course, but it might not be your passion. And I'll use my daughter as an example, who is in 2nd year at university. She's definitely, and has gone on to study theater and film studies, she's definitely a humanities, arts gal. And so she knew she had to take science and mathematics, but certainly they were not her passion. Read between the lines. But she took them as standard level subjects and managed to do quite well in them. Okay, so we're here to guide students and parents to assist your children in making those selections as they move into the diploma program. Okay, the other difference, a couple of other differences I can mention, higher level subjects are required to, over the 2 years, these are each 2-year courses, are required to meet 240 hours have 240 hours of contact time. Standard level subjects, 150. And the difference between what we're studying in standard and higher level subjects has to do, it speaks to the specificity of the subject. So for example, in the sciences, the higher level is actually additional content. So in most subject areas, there's a core that all students will study, whether they're higher level or standard level. Okay, so a base level of knowledge. And then, example, in the sciences, there would be additional higher level content they would be covering. I'll speak to language acquisition, French B, but it applies to all of the other language B subjects. The difference is in the breadth and depth of the language usage, so the grammatical structures, the vocabulary and expressions they're using. They will have to write longer pieces. They don't actually have to speak for longer when it comes to the oral, so that's kind of nice. But in addition, the higher level students will study 2 works of literature, okay? And so on and so forth. So there's a difference in the higher level and standard level for each subject, okay? Also, as a diploma candidate, students will be involved in one of my favorite parts of the diploma. Actually, it's called the core, and there are 3 pieces to the core. We'll start with theory of knowledge. So theory of knowledge is a course that is timetabled. So all diploma candidates must take theory of knowledge. And again, if you're hip and cool, we call it TOK. You'll get there. I know you're going to be very hip and cool if you're not already. And I'm just going to read a little description because our TOK experts, our teachers, have written a lovely little description here I wanted to share with you. So TOK is a unique course where students explore ideas from a variety of disciplines and perspectives. The emphasis is on exploring real-world knowledge issues with a goal of helping students learn to question their own assumptions so they become flexible problem solvers. The course is organized around a series of big questions related to topics such as values, spin, and bias. These are explored in the context of different areas of knowledge, including the arts, history, and the natural sciences. Because this course is focused on critical questioning and team learning, rather than upon the mastery of a defined body of knowledge, student-led discussion and journal entries drawn from their personal experience form a major part of the program. Okay, so it is in fact the one element of the diploma program that actually is interwoven throughout all of the subjects. So it is a course in and of itself, but at the same time, in each of their other subject areas, we are, as a French B a teacher, I am to engage the students in theory of knowledge in French. Whew. That's crazy, isn't it? But it's amazing. In science, in their science courses, in maths, etc. Okay. Next up is the extended essay, or the EE. And this you may have already heard tell of. I'm going to tell you what Ms. Nielsen, our teacher librarian, with whom I work very closely on the extended essay, we coordinate it. We tell the students very close to the start of the, well, actually at the start of the extended essay, which, by the way, we do not start right at the beginning of the diploma program. We let you settle into your courses, then we introduce CAS. We take a good 2 terms to not bother you with the extended essay. We'll let you know it's coming, but we don't actually launch the extended essay until the spring term of grade 11 or year 1 of the diploma, okay? So there's lots of time to really get comfortable with being a diploma candidate, okay, before we launch the essay. So what we tell students when we first meet with them, and I don't want to sound, I don't want to belittle it because it's an amazing piece of work, but it's just an essay. In fact, this week when I met with the grade 10s, although I don't know, I know they don't want to really talk about their personal statement too much, or their personal project statement. I didn't want to delve into that, you know, rub salt in the wounds. But I did say to them, what is the word count on this piece that you're having to do with the personal project? Oh, 3,500, madame, they told me. And I said, does anyone know what the length of the extended essay is? I had one student today say 10,000 words. It's not 10,000 words. It's 4,000 words. And it's just an essay. Is it an academic paper that has to be thoroughly researched in a subject of their choosing connected to one that they are studying in the diploma? Absolutely. Do they work with a supervisor who is one of our amazing GNS teachers, who has an area of expertise in the subject? Absolutely. And we support them from the beginning to the end. And for many diploma candidates, it actually ends up being one of their most cherished parts of the diploma program. I have, every year we have students, alum visiting us who come back and still are reflecting on and thinking of their extended essay. And that's pretty cool to take that into post-secondary, that experience, the skills. There aren't too many high school programs where you get to engage at such a high level with an academic paper like that. And then, I mean, I'm going to keep saying this. There's so many parts of the diploma that I do love, but honestly, one of my very, very favorite parts is the CAS program. And CAS stands for, as you see, Creativity, Activity, and Service. It is, if we just want to put it in a nutshell, it is a framework that IB gives schools and students for co-curriculars. So essentially, the IB recognizes the importance of balance. We don't want students putting all of their eggs in the academic basket and burning out. That's not healthy. It's not a good way of living. And so the IB, and I'm going to use the word that students often use with me when we're reflecting on CAS and checking in, seeing how it's going, and especially at the end, time and time again, students will say, the CAS program forced me to find balance. And so that has it can have quite a negative connotation to it. But then they follow that up with, if it hadn't forced me to, I would have probably burned myself out. I wouldn't have realized the capacity that I have to be involved with 6 pretty darn rigorous courses and do something creative, look after my physical well-being through activity, and keep involved with service. And I think that's amazing. And then the other question I will often ask them is, are you going to take anything with you to post-secondary or into life beyond GNS? And they often will say, yes, absolutely. I want to continue to play the guitar or be on the soccer team, volunteer, whatever it may be. And so it's a wonderful way to meet students where they're at, and I always start with students, and so do the other CAS advisors. We meet students where they're at. This year is not a great representation of the potential within CAS under the current restrictions, but they're still completing CAS, amazingly. But we meet them where they're at, and by that I mean, what are you currently doing that is creative? What are you currently doing to look after your physical well-being? And what are you doing to be involved in service? Let's start there, because another myth about the diploma is, I don't get to do any of those co-curriculars I used to do. Everything has to be brand new. No, 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 no. In fact, quite the opposite. Great if you want to try new experiences through CAS, but it is not a requirement that you do so. Okay. The other piece about CAS I just wanted to mention is sometimes students, and probably some of them were sitting in the classes this week that I visited in grade 10, and thought to themselves, oh dear, I'm not a very creative person. I guess I can't do the diploma. Again, not true. So every year we have students, I would say most students come into the diploma program feeling pretty good about two of the strands, we call these strands of CAS, and not as comfortable maybe with the third strand, whatever that might be for them personally, creativity or activity or service. We meet them where they're at, and then we figure out how to put a CAS plan together for them. I can get very creative with athletes who think that they aren't capable of being creative or haven't been, I played the recorder with Ms. Illman in grade 5 and haven't done anything creative since then. I got your back, athletes, okay? And vice versa, okay? All right, so enough about the diploma candidate adventure. Let's talk about being a course candidate. So a course candidate has a different, it's not so rigid in its pathway, shall we say. So course candidates will take a combination, actually I'll start with what I said, because we actually do have students who choose to do this each year. Some students choose to embark upon all diploma courses minus the core, and so they are course candidates, because to be a diploma candidate, you must have all the 6 diploma courses plus be involved in all elements of the core. Okay, so we do actually have, and I think it's important some students choose to take all 6 subjects that are diploma subjects and not be involved in the core. Okay, or another pathway for course candidates is to do a combination of diploma courses and provincial courses, which we offer at the grade 11 and 12 level. Students in grade 11 may also choose to take theory of knowledge as an elective. We have a number of students each year who read the description in the program of studies, or they've talked to their friends and they go, whoa, this sounds kind of interesting. And so they can take it as an elective in grade 11 only. In grade 12, they cannot, because the focus is geared around the TOK essay, which is only needed for diploma candidates, okay? But certainly grade 11's welcome to take it. And then no, they're not needing to be involved in all elements of CAS, so they're not involved in the CAS program at all, but as many of you know, service involvement at our school, service as action is a big part of who and what we are, and so we will continue to encourage students to be involved with service, as well as co-curricular. I say to the grade 10s, are you just going to drop all your co-curricular activities like a hot potato because you're in grade 11 and 12? I hope not. I've said required, and the reason that sounds a little forceful is because we know that as students go to apply to post-secondary programs and for scholarships, most universities are not just looking at grades anymore. They really want to see a well-rounded student, and a lot of that well-roundedness can come from service involvement and co-curriculars, okay? Now, the one thing I wanted to mention at this point is that I wanted to go back to that myth I busted at the start of the presentation about the fact that we do not force students to all be diploma candidates, okay? Where part of that messaging maybe is misconstrued is in the following. So we strongly encourage students to attempt to embark upon the diploma program, okay? You can always pull back. Students can always pull back from the diploma program, okay, to become a course candidate at certain times, and we would let students know what those and families know what that looks like. What you cannot do, unfortunately, is the reverse. So a couple of times over my 6 years as diploma program coordinator, I've had a few students come to me 3, 4, 6 months into grade 11, year 1 of the diploma, and say, you know what, madam, I was hesitating in grade 10 going into grade 11. I wasn't sure. I didn't think I could do it. Was it the right fit, et cetera, et cetera. And so I chose the course route, the course pathway. Now that I'm into it, I realize it's not so bad. I'd like to become a diploma candidate. And unfortunately, that's not possible for a number of different reasons. At a very basic level, the CAS program must be started at the beginning of the diploma program. And so when you're 3 or 4 or 6 months in, we can't play catch up. And even more importantly is around courses. So let's say a student who made that request needed to switch up their courses. When you're 3 or 4 or 6 months in, if a diploma course has been running since the beginning of September and we're now in January, it puts incredible stress not only on the student but on the teacher to try and catch that student up. And in fact, it's just not doable because of, remember those numbers I mentioned around higher level and standard level subjects and subjects. So think carefully. I always say to students, if you're sitting on the fence, you're in grade 10, and in a couple of months, you're going to be making your course requests. If you're sitting on the fence, should I, shouldn't I? I'd say go for it. Give it a try, knowing that you can pull back. And I never say, I'm trying to train people and students, especially, not to say I dropped something. That has a negative connotation to me. You just pulled back. Yeah, you haven't dropped anything. You're making a different choice, a better choice for yourselves. And we're here to support you in that, okay? Okay, I'm almost done my presentation, and then I'm going to answer, I'll be up for answering all of your burning questions. Okay, here's a new slide. I've heard over the last little while that parents, students perhaps, are curious to know, numbers of students. Maybe some of you are sitting there this evening saying, well, this is all fine and well, madame, but what does it really look like? The proof is in the colors in the bar graph, which I had to ask one of my grade 12 students living with me last night to help me make. I'm giving her credit, Stephanie Chen. I learned something new, a new skill. So over the last 5 years, and including this year, I wanted to share this data with you, grade 12 students' pathways toward graduation. And you'll see the blue represents the diploma candidates. So we had from 2017 to 2020, a slow but steady increase in the number of students graduating with the diploma, okay? We had a bit of a drop this year, and quite frankly, if I had a magic crystal ball, which at times in this job I would really, really like to have, but I don't, I think I could have predicted a bit of a drop this year. You know, we're living in very interesting times, and for a number of different reasons, this year we had, I think, a few additional students pull back for very good reasons than we might not have had were we not living in a pandemic, okay? So to me, these numbers or this decline in the number of diploma candidates doesn't bother me at all. It speaks to the nature of our students. It speaks to supporting students and their pathways, okay? And so just to bust that myth wide open, I think it's very good for students and parents to see the green, the course candidates. You say you don't force students to take the diploma. What does it really look like? Well, you'll see that especially 2019 and 2020. And this year, until we had a few extra students pull back, we were really sitting equally distributed between diploma candidates and course candidates. And you know what? I think that's amazing, an amazing place for us to be as a school. I like that split. I would be happy if that were the split moving forward. I would have no problems with that, nor would the rest of our school, our head of school, our deputy head of school. I am quite certain that this is very acceptable and very representative of our student body. And then I think it's important to share with you the yellowy orange pathway. So other, what does that mean? It's hard to put into just one nice, neat little magical word. So I'm sorry if other feels a bit blah as a descriptor. Other refers to some of our students. Sometimes we have students join us in grade 12, and they may join a diploma course that's halfway through, because each diploma course runs for 2 years over grade 11 and grade 12. And so because we have a number of diploma courses offered, sometimes we don't have enough provincial courses to offer just for a student to take. But they're a really neat, they'd be a really neat addition to our community. And so we find ways to round out their program. And so they may be in a diploma course, but they're earning in a particular circumstance. This wouldn't be something for all students. Sorry, a little bit of a fly there. They may be earning a provincial credit. That doesn't happen very often, okay, when we have students transfer in for grade 12. Not a high intake year at all. So I'd say the vast majority of the yellow-orange band there actually speaks to our diverse student population, and we have students who maybe have learning challenges, learning differences. And so we have a pathway for them in which they can take a number of provincial courses at the grade 11 and 12 levels and be able to graduate with a BC dogwood at our school. And so I think it's very interesting and notable to share that with you. This year, if you'll notice, there is no other. And this is another piece that I'm very proud of. Every single one of our grade 12s this year is actually taking at least one IB diploma subject, and we'll be sitting one or two papers during the May exam session. And that also, I think, is good for you to know. Okay. If we looked at, I didn't put up a grade 11. I didn't put together a grade 11 graph, but I can speak to numbers in grade 11. So what we've seen over the last, I want to say 3 years, where I've really been encouraging students, just as I've done tonight, if you're in doubt, some people are very clear, diploma, some people are very clear, course, and some sitting on that fence. And so what I've seen in grade 11 in the numbers is that a lot of students will take our advice, take our suggestion to embark upon the full diploma. And over the last 3 years, I want to say 3/4 of the year ones have embarked upon the diploma. And then by the time we get to the end of grade 12, this is what you're seeing. So there is definitely some attrition, if you will, some pulling back from between grade 11 and grade 12. Again, not upsetting it in any shape or form, just really speaking to us supporting students and their pathways. Okay, I am going to stop talking because I think I've said far too much or enough. I am going to just move back so I can maybe see a little bit more. Okay, I'll keep the slide up. And Mr. Palm, I am happy to answer questions.
If a student starts off in the IB Diploma Program in grade 11,
yes,
and then backs off,
yes,
is there any aspect of that that's viewed unfavorable by a post-secondary institution? Is there like a reflection on their transcript or their grade in some way that might, negatively impact them?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Thank you. In fact, no. When students go to apply to post-secondary, if they are diploma candidates, they have two sets of credentials. I'll speak to this first and then it will lead into your question, okay? So diploma candidates will have their BC transcript as well as their IB diploma transcript. Most IB diploma candidates will apply with their they will identify through the application process that they are an IB diploma candidate, and they will apply with their predicted grades. Okay, and so the universities will flag them and say, great, we'll be waiting. We won't be waiting for percentage grades or a BC transcript from this student. We're expecting predicted grades. Okay, now course candidates and all other types of candidates within the province of British Columbia. So someone with a BC Dogwood or course candidates coming from schools that offer the diploma program, they can only apply their BC transcript. And on their transcript, for all students on their BC transcript, they will have all courses reported from grades 10, 11, and 12. And they will have, it doesn't identify them as a diploma candidate or a course candidate, but they will have a mix of different titles of courses. So a course candidate might have, let's see, in grade 12, or grade 11. Grade 11 might have all diploma courses, okay? And that's fine with a percentage grade. And then in grade 12, it might be a mixture of diploma courses and provincial courses with their percentage grade. And universities have because they will know that they're course candidates, having applied through that lens as opposed to the diploma lens, there is no negative impact to them whatsoever.
One of them is just when will they start on any program? And you can answer that, but I think what we're trying to say is that it's for grade 11 and 12, but I think we're asking between the course candidate or the diploma candidate, when do they begin?
Okay, so the diploma program, sorry, I probably should have started with that, shouldn't I? The diploma program runs over grades 11 or 12. Within the diploma program, we call those years 1 and 2. So if sometimes on documentation, I always try and give both names of it. But in IB, in the IB landscape, it's years 1 and 2. We start whether you're a diploma candidate or a course candidate, all of those courses start in September of grade 11. And all of those courses run 2 years, okay, to the end of April of grade 12. And then all students, whether they are diploma or course candidates, will sit in May of their grade 12 year. They will sit the papers, is what IB calls them, the papers or the examinations for those courses in May of grade 12.
Next question is that I'll read it. It says, I know that geography used to be a course option, and then due to dwindling numbers, yes, that it was removed. Is there a chance it gets brought back due to growing interest in grades 9 or 10?
That's a great question, and thank you for the context there that I was going to provide. We had for many, many years a very strong geography, IB geography program, and then for a number of different reasons, and I can speak to a couple of those, yes, the numbers have dwindled. And again, in a school of our size, very difficult to support courses with low numbers, and I let the students know this this week, well, especially today, they were asking about it. It's never a decision. It's not a snap decision. This has been coming over a few years. But what I would like you to know is that part of the reason that I think we saw the dwindling numbers in geography is because our economics courses grew in numbers. We also introduced a course called Global Politics 2 years ago. This will be our 3rd year, and to respond to the growing needs of our students. And those courses have really just flourished, so much so that, as I say, this coming year, we're going to offer the HL as well as the SL, pardon me, for global politics. And so we've just seen, I guess, the interest in students in those courses more so than in geography. And then I think that that led to the dwindling numbers. So your question about looking to bring back geography, it's an excellent question. I'm not able to give you that firm answer. The question, and Mr. Palm's here tonight, and Mr. Carlson is as well. One of the questions from the students today was, well, could you poll students for future years? I said the decision's already made for next year, but would you poll students and figure out what the what the interest is? So I said, well, I'll have to talk to Mr. Palm and Mr. Carlson about that. So we'll get back to you on that one.
I mean, we do also listen to the kids in terms of if there's an interest that, as your point, Madame talked a little bit about the IB music, that there were some people say, could you put that up there? And, obviously the numbers have to be there, but I would say that your point is well taken, that the students find, I think, the global politics and economics for them seems to be more relevant, and they seem to really want to dive into those subject areas, and that's where they put in their requests. So that's what we're looking for. Is there overlap in course selection with the diploma program and the course provincial program? So, just clarify that a little bit.
Sure, I'm just not sure. Is the standard level in the diploma program also a provincial level course?
Thank you. Great question. It really depends on the subject, but I can generally say that standard level courses go beyond the provincial curriculum. Is there overlap in some areas? Absolutely. I can tell you, when I've spoken to Erin Dallin, our IB chemistry teacher, that it's either Chem 11 or Chem 12, very different than the IB Chem 11 and 12, provincial and the standard level. But in other subject areas, such as French, I'll use it as an example. Obviously, we're working with always the 4 skills: reading, writing, listening, speaking. But even at a standard level, we get to much further than we would. And at the beginning of my career, I was teaching provincial 12, and even with the updated BC provincial curriculum goes beyond that. Okay. I should also mention, since we're just talking about levels and such, and comparing and contrasting, higher level courses obviously go a lot further than the provincial curriculum. And I think it would be good to note that if a student earns a 5, a 6, or a 7 as their final IB grade, at most universities, most Canadian, let's I don't know all universities across the globe, but most Canadian universities, they can apply for and receive transfer credit. So what does that mean? Could mean a savings for you parents, but it can mean that a student can choose to take the transfer credit, and instead of having to take, let's say, English 100, could either have a lighter first semester, maybe even a lighter second semester, or delve into some other courses and electives they might not have otherwise been able to delve into had they not taken the transfer credit. Up to the students, okay? And you, of course.
What are the benefits of the 2 types of candidates? So I believe that's the diploma or the course candidate. And then the second would be also, how do you recommend or suggest the courses for the students?
Okay, so as I said to the students this week, when they're applying for university or scholarships, they are often asked at some point in the process, did you take advantage of any more rigorous or challenging academic program? And I've checked this with our university guidance advisors, Angie Girard and Sarah McMillan, so I'm not making this stuff up, and they agree with me. I say to them, can only diploma program candidates check that box? Because I really feel that as a course candidate, you've taken advantage of a more rigorous program, even if you're doing a mix of diploma and provincial courses, and they agree wholeheartedly with me. So there are benefits to both pathways. What I can tell you hand on heart again is that all of our students are well prepared. Okay, I never want it to come across that if you're not doing the diploma, you're not going to get into your ‑1 choice university. That's just not true. And each and every year we have, over the last couple of years, you've seen 50 approximately of diploma candidates graduate and course candidate graduates, and they're heading to the universities of their choice. Now, that being said, what often comes to me as a question, I'm going to link it into this benefit question. What often comes to me as a question is it not better to take mostly provincial courses and get a higher grade point average or average, and apply to universities than risk getting a lower grade through diploma courses? Okay, and I think that question is still inquiring minds want to know. Here's what you need to know. It is misinformation that because you're taking diploma courses and they are more challenging, that you are going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage. Okay, you are not, and I can tell you why you're not. Universities are very savvy, so I know, and I actually meet once a year with admissions people from UBC, SFU, and UVic. But I've also heard this from other universities. In each university, I don't know all of them, but in most university admissions offices now, at least within Canada, they have special admissions officers who deal exclusively with diploma candidates and their applications. And why they have specific people dealing with them is because they understand what goes into an IB diploma. Okay, and the example that I use with students this week is, let's say a university has a student applying from, I'll use Oak Bay High as an example, with a 98% average. And then they have a student applying from GNS with a 34 points out of a maximum of 45 points on a diploma. If you did the math on that, the pure math, the raw math, you'd say, oh my gosh, how are our students even getting in anywhere? The university admissions officers understand that all credentials that all students are applying with, whether it be AP, IB, French baccalaureate, provincial, they're all fruit. I use this analogy with this. They're all fruit of some kind. But apples are not the same as bananas, are not the same as pears, okay? And so the admissions officers understand that someone who's earned a 34 or 35 on their IB diploma didn't just put all their eggs in an academic basket, didn't just get to pick their favorite subjects and knock them out of the park. They were asked to stretch themselves across 6 different subjects, in some cases ones that they didn't really care to. Like I know some people students would love to drop French at the earliest, drop it like a hot potato, okay? But they have to take a second language as part of their diploma. They also understand that the students were involved in a robust co-curricular program, that they had to write an extended essay, and they had to take TOK, okay? And so in knowing that information, it's important that we remind ourselves and our students, and we do as they go through, that universities, they're no dummies, and they want you. And the reason they want you is because they know you're well prepared as a diploma candidate. Course candidates are well prepared as well, but just to show you how it's recognized at the post-secondary level, they know you're well prepared, and they know, especially at a place like UBC, that's run many, many studies around first-year success and beyond. They know that students who are well-rounded, that had a full program, that they are going to be successful in first year and beyond. How do we recommend the courses to students was the second question. Through a number of different means. I've gone in to meet with them. I'm going to circle back around with the students. I've got a planning sheet that I use with them. Yesterday in assembly, the students met with our university guidance advisors. They can speak to their home form advisors. we try and meet with them. We will meet with them one-on-one. In the next couple of weeks, the university guidance advisors will meet with the grade 10s one-on-one to get a sense of what are you thinking as far as post-secondary. And if you're not sure, like my daughter wasn't in grade 10 and was freaking out a little bit, and I said, you got time, sweetie, you got time. We can work with you about how do we keep as many doors open as possible as you start to figure out what are you interested in, what are you not interested in, okay? So there's a number of different ways and means. I would also encourage students to talk, especially grade 10 students, to speak with their current teachers, a number of whom do teach in the diploma program. So, you know, they could reach out to their sciences teacher and say, you know, I'm thinking of chemistry and physics, maybe as two sciences. What do you think? And should I be looking at a standard level or higher level? Those are great conversations to have with current teachers.
Do the students stay longer in school for those courses in any program? And I think what they're trying to say is a provincial course run longer than an IB course in grade 12.
Yes, the diploma courses end, all diploma courses, so whether you're a course candidate or a diploma candidate, they end at the end of April of grade 12 or year 2, and provincial courses do carry on until June, some of them culminating in a final examination that is school-based, as there are no longer provincial exams.
Right.
Okay.
And that's just as a clarify, that's because a provincial course in grade 12 has to run for a certain amount of time for that year, whereas for the IB program, the courses run from the start of grade 11 all the way through into grade 12. So there's a much longer time frame of that class, even though it's over 2 years. So yeah.
But so diploma candidates, everyone's courses for diploma end at the end of April, as I just said. There are 3 weeks of an examination schedule provided by IB, laid out by IB, but at the end of the 3 weeks, diploma candidates are finished their high school courses. They're done and dusted, and then we celebrate them in June. For course candidates, they will sit the papers, as I mentioned earlier, out wherever they are throughout the 3 weeks, and their diploma courses will also end 3 weeks into May, and then they will have a lighter schedule moving into the end of May and into June, where they finish up their provincial courses. So it does, their loads do start to lighten, which is nice for course candidates as well.
Right, and then we still have all our celebrations in June, graduations, or and lots of the alumni lunches and wonderful things that happen. So, and everybody's involved in that. Can you please speak about the option of psychology online within the Individuals and Societies group?
Okay. This was year.
And maybe that's like online, the Pomoja in total. I just segue
so
that.
I have to say that I've mentioned, you know, the size of our school, but now on the flip side of that, for the size of our school, we actually offer a very large, there's a breadth and depth to the courses we offer. Sometimes I see when I'm looking at other schools and what they offer, if I've got a transfer student coming in, some IB programs, DP programs offer 6 courses and everybody's doing the same diploma. Thank goodness that's not the case here. But even with the breadth and depth to our course offerings, there are some courses that we just can't offer and don't offer. And so thank you for this question. There is only one online provider that is approved by IB. I don't know of any that are unapproved, but there's only one in the world. It's called Pomoja. And they do offer some courses that we do not offer. And so it's an online learning environment, one of the best I've seen. I am the site-based coordinator for Pomoja, and I meet regularly with students, but they have an online teacher. The world is their classroom, so they have students from all over the world. It's a very international setting, which is very exciting. And yes, they do offer psychology. We've had students take the psychology. We've had students take French ab initio. We offer Spanish ab initio, but we've had students, thank you, Mr. Carlson, he's put the link in the chat. I've had a student last year, a diploma candidate, took business management for the first time, Love, love, love that course, she said. This year we have a student taking ITGS, Information Technology in a Global Society. They offer a few others. They don't offer any of the sciences because of the lab work, but certainly that is an option. I do need you to know that because it is not offered by GNS, there is an additional cost, and it is not inexpensive. It runs about $1,200 US per year. Okay, so you need to know that going in. And it would take the place of one of the subjects that the students are taking at GNS. So what I didn't mention, and the students asked me about this, if you're a diploma candidate taking your 6 subjects plus TOK, and then you also have to take a provincially required course called Career Life Connections, okay? So that seems like a pretty big schedule. Those students will still have a series of studies, study blocks in their timetable, okay? If you decide to remove one of the GNS diploma courses and take psychology in lieu of it, you would then appear to have double the studies in your timetable. But in fact, what you're going to do, students, and I let parents know as well, is you're going to set aside half of those double studies that you apparently have or appear to have to work on your online course. Okay, so then everybody ends up with the same number of studies again. But I'm happy to speak further about that. We've had very good success. As I said, it's one of the best online platforms that I've had the privilege to work with. And I would be happy to put students in contact with former students who've done these courses. They're quite often very jazzed to be talking to current students about their experience. So let me know, and I can hook you up.
Madam, there's a quick question there that say, what sort of supports does GNS offer? And you've mentioned obviously the timing piece, but just to clarify that there's an online teacher that is part of promotion that connects with them as well. But then you would be the site coordinator to just sort of check in to see how things are going. But there isn't like a teacher at GNS that's working with these students, right?
No, there is not. But if there's any issues that come up, either from the student, I act as the liaison. I mean, I always encourage students to advocate for themselves with their online teacher first. That's a great skill to develop. Sometimes it can get a little, I don't know, prickly or something. And so I'm there to say, shall we formulate an email together? Do you feel comfortable with this? Or would you like me to liaise on your behalf? Or vice versa, sometimes the Pomoja teacher will contact me and indicate a student has not been engaged over a period of time. They don't let them go not be engaged for very long before they're reaching out saying, can you please check with the student? And I do, but I meet with the students regularly, about bi-weekly to begin with, and then as they're up and running and if things are going well, then we space it out to monthly.
Excellent. I think we sort of touched on this a bit, but I'm going to ask you just again. It says, while we understand that both diploma and the course candidates can apply for the same faculty at the universities, what would there be any advantages for the diploma candidate when they apply for the same faculty subject, meaning to the same area?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I think,
Yeah, so many great questions tonight. I would say what I've heard from admissions officers is we're looking for great students. We're looking for great students. And where, I always say to students, it's really easy to upload your grades, to self-report your grades. That takes but a moment, okay? What's really going to stand you apart, and more schools, institutions, universities have added this piece. It's the supplemental applications. It's the personal profile questions. It could be the essay, the videos, the interview, all of these pieces, and they're not all doing this, but different programs are adding different pieces in to really get a sense of the student, because the numbers that on the transcript or the IB predicted grades, they don't tell your story at all. And they want to know who you are, and are you the right fit for us, and are we the right fit for you? Okay, so whether you're an IB diploma candidate or a course candidate, we're going to work with you to help you dig deep, figure out what that story is, Make sure you're approaching the best teachers as your referees or references. Yeah, so it really is on a case-by-case basis. But they, as I say, they just want, and they want students to be successful. This is what I think sometimes students don't realize is, they don't want to, if you happen to not be accepted, and you feel rejected, I know it's horrible to feel rejected, but maybe it wasn't the best fit for you. And somebody knew better than you, even if you really, really, really wanted to go to that school.
Right. And I do think our GNS, as you said, that the supplemental application process with the richness of the courses plus the service and the co-curriculars that everybody does really benefits the student to be able to put down those things, even if they're a course candidate or a diploma candidate.
And I haven't mentioned this, but above what credential you graduate with from GNS, I think the most important piece that you're graduating with, whether you're a diploma candidate or a course candidate, are the skills. The skills are going to take you so far in life. Whether you decide to do a gap year, hopefully students are going to be able to get back to doing gap year soon, or whether you're straight into university, or whether it's the workforce where you take a year off. It's the critical thinking, the creative thinking, collaboration, the research skills, so being able to communicate. All of our students really have these skills honed very well, and they really do see the benefit. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes when you're in the thick of the diploma, you can't see the forest for the trees. Or is that the right way, or is it? I always get that mixed up. It's one or the other, right? You're just so into it. It's like, wow. And it happened for my daughter as well. And it really wasn't until she got into first and even second year now, where she's still saying to me, Mom, I can't believe that they still, in her program, we're not writing a research essay because we don't have those skills. Thinking, what? When are you going to get those skills if it's not in second year university? And she's like, I am dying to write a research paper because I wrote the extended essay and I had so much fun with it, right? But there's tons of stories like that. I told the grade 10 class today, I had a student come back a year ago in January. She's studying engineering at Waterloo, and met her in the front office. And of course, I want to ask her. I've got my DP hat on. I want to say, how has the DP, but I don't. I resist the temptation. And I just ask her, how's it going? Are you enjoying your program? And she says to me, I really am. It's hard, but I feel really well prepared. But I got to tell you one thing, Madame. The one course that has prepared me the best for engineering at Waterloo, and I'm there with bated breath. She says it's theory of knowledge. What? I say to her, really? I mean, I know it's a good course, but how is this? And she said, it's all about the way, the perspectives and the ways of looking at different situations and the arguments and the counter arguments. And I went, ooh, this is good. This is good. I got to share this with our current students. So you just never know where the benefits are going to come from.
Right on. I know that Mr. Carlson sort of helped one of our questions, and I also would say it was if you were going to go to an Ivy League school in the U.S., which choice may be better? And I know that's probably a better question for our university guidance advisors, and it's a question that we can certainly probably try to answer a little bit on next Monday with our course requests. But I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, Madame.
Well, I would say when we're looking at highly competitive institutions or highly competitive programs, the diploma program does allow students to stand out because of the breadth and depth of their learning, because of the breadth and depth of the courses they've had to take, that they've had to stretch themselves, not only in their academics, but also in their co-curriculars. Remember, we talked about the students who identify themselves as athletes and, oh, I'm not very creative. Well, we've got to figure out some creativity for you if you're going to be a diploma candidate. So they understand what's gone into it. They understand that you're juggling a lot of balls in the air. at any one time when you're working through the diploma. And again, institutions such as the Ivy Leagues, they will have, I mean, they know what it takes to be successful at their institutions. And so they're going to be looking for students who are best fit and who hopefully in their years leading up to application have demonstrated that in some shape or form. And IB Diploma candidates really are able to do that in spades.
Right on. Just a couple quick ones. Can students take 3 sciences in grade 11 and 12?
Okay, students were asking about this. So, first of all, it is a misconception, and Angie Girard and Sarah McMillan, our university guidance advisors, will speak more to this, I'm sure, on Monday night. But it is a misconception that 3 sciences are actually required at the post-secondary level, even for some of the most competitive programs. I've learned this in working very closely with them over the last few years. However, that being said, some of us just love our sciences. So to that, the answer is, it really depends on the timetable. So the timetable at GNS is built off of the course requests of students. And we will start, we build it in this order. We start with the grade 12s, the year 2s, and the diploma candidates. And then we'll timetable for the grade 12 course candidates. And then it'll be the grade 11 diploma candidates, and then the grade 11 course candidates, okay? So it is very rare, depending on the number of students who are interested in 3 sciences, which quite honestly, over the last 6 years, it's very few students each year, okay? But each year there are a couple of students who might be interested. And so it's very unlikely that we could incorporate 3 DP sciences within a student's timetable, okay? And so I need to prepare you for that. The workaround for a few of our students over the last few years has been the following. Take the 2 main sciences as DP subjects as part of the diploma, if they're diploma candidates. And the third science, take chem and physics as the DP sciences, and then find a way, possibly in grade 11 if the timetable allowed, again, really depends on student requests, or in grade 12 to take Anatomy and Physiology 12. It does not require, it's a provincial course, well recognized by institutions, post-secondary institutions. It does not require a prerequisite of Anatomy and Physiology 11. Okay, so we've had students do that. Or we've also had, over the last couple of years, a few students take a sides provincial chemistry or physics to supplement the other 2. Okay, so my suggestion to grade 10s is to put that, put the request in, shoot for the moon, but be prepared that we may not be able to timetable it.
Perfect. Okay, a few more, not too many.
Okay.
Is there a drop and add period for the subjects of a diploma course in grade 11?
Okay, so across the board, actually, in the senior school, the withdraw period. Try not to use words that have negative connotations to them, but the withdrawal period across the senior school is we normally like to we have students. It's getting late, so I'm just trying to find the words. We have a 2-week rotating timetable, and so we normally have our drop or withdrawal date is normally after 2 full rotations, which is about a month of courses. So we're looking into early October, like before the Thanksgiving weekend is when that would need to occur. So, and the other point, if a student is like, well, they get past that and then think, oh, I don't know if the diploma's for me, we can still move them to being a course candidate. They would continue with all of their courses till the end of April. We can take the EE off their plate, which they won't have begun, but we can take it off of their course listings in Blackbaud. They won't have to complete CAS, right? So we take that off of their course listings. And then TOK actually comes to an end at the end of April of year 1. So they would just have to, and they would still get credit for TOK 11. And then they would have an additional study during May when we launch the extended essay. Okay, so
Right.
those are really the two time frames in which students can make those changes. So if we read between the lines here and back to the one of the previous questions, it's really important that we advise our students and have these conversations with students and answer all of their questions as much as possible before they make their course requests.
Yeah.
Right. So we try and get it right the first time out, but we're only human.
Absolutely. One last question is with the online course. The question is it last for the 2 years for grades 11 to 12? The answer is I know is yes to that. Yes. So like a Pomoja course will last for the 2 years.
Yes.
Would the course be given a choice of HL and SL? Does it depend on the class?
Yes, a number of the Pomoja courses are also offered at HL and SL, but not all of them. I forgot one example of that is film. We did have a student complete the film standard level course, and I don't think they offer the higher level course through Pomoja. Okay.
And the final one was a predicted grade for that subject is given by the online teacher or GNS.
Oh, absolutely, by the online teacher. And I liaise with the online teacher, and they conduct their internal assessment with the online teacher. But we're in close communication. Absolutely.
Right. And we're the host school, like here, but so that you're the connector to that.
Yes.
But the course itself is assessed by the teacher that's at online.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. Now, we don't have any other questions, I think, that have come up. So I just want to thank everyone for coming, but I also want to thank Madame Girard for speaking for the last hour and 26 minutes. But also, you can just hear the passion, and you can hear that she absolutely loves to help students and support them through this program. And we're very fortunate to have her to do that. But we appreciate her giving us this great opportunity to learn more about it. And I do want to segue into please come for our course request evening, which is next Monday, March the 1st. And if you hopefully you looked in our GNS announcements, but just to reiterate, from 6:30 to 7:15, we have a specific meet, and that's for our current grade 8 and 9 families to start with. And then from 7:30 to 8:30, we'd like to have our current grade 10 and 11 families. And just to give people a sense of that, in grade 8 and 9, those families, the course offerings and the choices are a little bit, they're not as many, and so it's a little less rich. And then the next year, we talk to our grade 10 and 11 families, and it's a bit more focused on partly to do with the diploma program, but also partly to do with our university guidance advisors to talk a little bit about the process for looking beyond and choices. And so people who are in grade 8 and 9 are willing to go to that. If they want to, they can go to that second meet, but it's not quite as applicable. So that just so you know, again, we'll record those as well. But also it's an opportunity that's sort of our beginning. And then just so you know, there'll be opportunities after that for students to be able to speak to our university guidance advisors, to people like myself or Madame Girard, to teachers and heads of department. And then just at the as we come back for our third term, that's when we have their students will make their choices online, their requests.
I just wanted to end with making sure that we're all crystal clear that there's more than one pathway to graduation at GNS. I hope I've made that clear. And it really is about best fit and finding your passion. Okay. And we'd love to help parents find their passion as well, if that floats your boat, but mostly around students' best fit and finding their passion. And finally, that we are absolutely 100% here to support you, parents, the students, our whole community. Okay. My email is agirard@mygns.ca. Happy to chat further, answer other questions. And it's been an absolute delight. I wish we could have done this in person, but perhaps another time. Okay.
Yes, we'll hope for that for sure. And thank you very much. I know there's been many there's been many people saying thank you, Madame, for your efforts, and I second that. And there are many pathways. I would say there's as many pathways as we have students, because the uniqueness of what they choose in their co-curriculars, and their courses are helping them to figure out their right way forward. So we're happy to do that as well. So without further ado, please feel free. You can just leave the meet. And again, if there's any further questions you have, you reach out to either one of us, and we can help you there. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks,
and have a good evening.
Everybody.